The Cleveland Cavaliers just committed basketball treason, up 22 points, less than 8 minutes left on the clock. The live analytics literally gave the New York Knicks a 0.1% chance of winning the game, and somehow Cleveland completely choked it away. It is time to have a very uncomfortable conversation about James Harden's disappearing act, Donovan Mitchell passing the buck, and why the New York Knicks just broke a franchise's spirit. Let's talk about it. We have to start by setting the stage for just how unprecedented and historically embarrassing this collapse really was. The Cleveland Cavaliers were up by 18 points with exactly 7 minutes and 49 seconds left in the fourth quarter. If you are sitting on your couch playing NBA 2K and you find yourself down 18 with under 8 minutes to go, you don't even finish the game. You hit start, you scroll down to quit, and you turn off the console. A comeback like this defies the laws of basketball physics. The analytics machines running the broadcast gave the Knicks a 0.1% chance to win, a 99.9% probability that Cleveland secures the victory. But then, the Cavaliers committed the ultimate postseason sin. They started playing not to lose instead of playing to win. They took their foot off the gas pedal. They started walking the ball up the court, draining the shot clock, and running these stagnant, isolation-heavy offensive sets that ended with contested jumpers. And on the other side of the floor, the New York Knicks looked up at the scoreboard and smelled blood in the water. They didn't panic. They cranked up the defensive intensity, and before the Cavaliers could even process what was happening, the lead evaporated. It went from 18 to 12 to 6 to tied. The momentum shift was so violent and so sudden that Cleveland head coach Mike Brown literally pulled a groin muscle on the sideline, trying to jump up and call a desperation timeout. He was visibly hobbled on the sideline while his team was getting hunted on the floor. It was pure chaos, and it was entirely self-inflicted. Now, let's point the finger exactly where it belongs, because what we watched from James Harden down the stretch was flat out unacceptable for a player of his caliber. Harden finished the game with 15 points on a miserable 5 of 16 shooting, but the shooting splits don't even tell the real story. Here's the most damning, unforgivable stat of the entire night. James Harden finished with 6 turnovers and only 5 made baskets. Think about that for a second. We are 15 games deep into these playoffs, and this was the 6th time this postseason that Harden has recorded more turnovers than field goals. We are talking about a former MVP. We are talking about a top 75 player in NBA history. And yet when the lights get the brightest and the pressure starts to boil over, we are seeing the exact same movie we watched in Houston, in Brooklyn, and in Philadelphia. But it wasn't even the offensive struggles that killed the Cavaliers. It was the absolute turnstile defense. Down the stretch, the Knicks identified exactly who the weak link was. They ran a 1-4 flat offensive set, cleared out the side of the floor, and put a massive target on James Harden's chest. Jalen Brunson isolated him and scored 11 straight points directly in his face. I understand that James Harden is older now. I completely understand that he has never been an elite lockdown perimeter defender. But when you are in the Eastern Conference Finals and your jump shot is completely broken, you have to bite down on your mouthpiece and find a way to impact the game. You have to find the pride to look Jalen Brunson in the eye and say, I am not going to let you humiliate me on national television. Go into full denial. Face guard him. Make him work just to catch the basketball. Instead, Harden was getting blown by with a single hesitation dribble. He offered zero resistance. He was playing defense like a security guard holding the door open to the bank vault. You cannot win a championship when your highest paid point guard refuses to slide his feet. But we cannot let Donovan Mitchell off the hook here. Spida shares a massive portion of the blame for this collapse. Mitchell had it going early. He was hitting shots, getting into the teeth of the defense, and looking like the franchise player Cleveland is paying him to be. But when the game was on the line, his decision-making was absolutely baffling. When your team is bleeding out on the floor, when a 22-point lead is shrinking by the second, and the crowd is starting to turn on you, you are the alpha. You are the guy. You are supposed to stop the bleeding. Instead of taking over the game, putting his head down and getting to the free throw line to settle his team down, Mitchell kept passing the buck. He kept deferring to a completely cold James Harden. It looked like Mitchell was trying to force feed Harden the ball, hoping that if Harden just hit one contested step-back 3, it would miraculously fix his confidence. That might be a fine strategy in the middle of January against a lottery team. But in the fourth quarter of the Eastern Conference Finals? Absolutely not. That is the exact moment when you wave everybody off, demand the basketball, and carry your team to the finish line. Between Mitchell and Harden, the starting backcourt combined for 10 turnovers. You are never, ever going to win high-stakes playoff basketball when your 2-star guards are actively handing the ball to the opposing team in clutch time. The collapse was so agonizing to watch that it brought up an incredibly uncomfortable scenario. Should the Cavaliers have benched James Harden in the fourth quarter? Look at Dennis Schroeder. Schroeder came off the bench, played 18 hard minutes, dished out 5 assists, recorded 0 turnovers, and was actually fighting his absolute heart out through screens on the defensive end. He was giving them exactly what they needed: stability, hustle, and ball security. But here's the harsh reality of NBA ego and locker room politics. You cannot bench James Harden. It doesn't matter how bad he is playing. He has an MVP trophy on his mantle. He is a future Hall of Famer. If a head coach pulls a guy with that kind of resume in the final 5 minutes of an Eastern Conference Finals game for Dennis Schroeder, you lose the player forever. You fracture the locker room, and the media turns the entire series into a circus about the coach disrespecting a legend. People love to bring up the 2017 playoffs when the Cavaliers were down 26 points to the Indiana Pacers. In that game, Tyronn Lue famously benched Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love in the second half, rolled with the bench squad, and actually pulled off the miracle comeback. But that was a completely different era, and more importantly, they had prime LeBron James on the floor to orchestrate the entire offense and cover up the talent gap. The 2026 Cleveland Cavaliers do not have that luxury. When a front office ties their championship window to an aging superstar who has a history of fading in the playoffs, you are forced to ride that wave until it crashes. They made their bed, and now they have to lie in it. We've spent a lot of time talking about Cleveland completely throwing this game away, but we have to give massive credit to the New York Knicks. Jalen Brunson has officially cemented himself as the undisputed king of New York. Brunson finished the night with 38 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, and 3 steals. But the damage he did in the clutch is what makes him a true superstar. He dropped 17 points in the fourth quarter alone. He systematically dismantled the Cleveland defense. He recognized that nobody in a wine and gold jersey could stay in front of him, and he spammed that little push floater in the lane over and over again. At his size, not being an elite run and jump athlete, Brunson might be the single greatest one-on-one isolation player in the entire league. He doesn't play above the rim. He beats you with elite footwork, impeccable timing, and an absolute killer instinct. When the game was tight, he didn't defer. He demanded the ball and went to work. But the Knicks are not just the Jalen Brunson show. This team perfectly embodies the gritty blue-collar identity of their head coach. They don't care about your resume. They only care about outworking you. Look at a guy like Josh Hart. Hart played 17 minutes and was a staggering plus 25 in the plus-minus column. How do you go plus 25 in 17 minutes? He only took 4 shots all night. He impacted the game purely through sheer will. He was diving on the floor for loose balls, securing massive contested rebounds against bigger players, and playing elite perimeter defense without fouling. He is not out there looking for his own stats. He just wants to win the basketball game. This isn't just a bad loss for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is a soul-snatching, morale-destroying defeat. When you blow an 18-point lead with 7 minutes left in a playoff game, it takes the air completely out of your season. You go into that locker room, and it is dead silent. Everyone is looking around the room, waiting for the veterans to take accountability. James Harden needs to stand up in front of that team, own his awful performance, and promise them it won't happen again. But honestly, the damage might already be done. The New York Knicks have completely stolen the momentum of this series. They know the Cavaliers will fold under pressure. If Cleveland doesn't come out in Game 2 with their hair on fire, the Knicks are going to sweep this series right out from under them. Drop a comment below. Was this the biggest choke job in recent NBA playoff history? And if you are the head coach of the Cavaliers, how do you fix James Harden before Game 2? Let me know your thoughts and keep it locked right here for more unfiltered hoops talk.